Welcome, Army fans. This is Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com here with a very special edition of the Parents Perspective podcast. We have two parents, Princess Aturise and Terry Brannon, who both have sons who just committed and signed with the recruiting class of 2024. They will be either West Point class of 28 or 29, if my math is right, depending on whether they're direct or prep. We're going to talk to them about their son's journey up to this point, what has them excited to have sons who are going to be future members of the Long Gray Line and the Army football program. What's even more interesting about this podcast for me, and I think a first on GBK. The other night, I got to interview Carlton Jones, who was a former Army running back. Terry probably knows him because he works up there in the Pentagon as well. Carlton is also an active duty colonel or lieutenant colonel. And so we've been getting hit hot and heavy with the field grade officers here on GBK, and I will try and not embarrass ourselves or the GBK brand in front of these great Americans. So Terry, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you, Princess. Congrats to your son.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations to both of you. Thanks for coming out and interviewing with us tonight. Princess, let's start with you. Your son, Taiwo, just recently committed to West Point. Tell me a little bit about Taiwo, his journey in the recruiting process. I know that can be extremely stressful for both the parents as well as the student athletes. And at West Point, yes, we do actually get to say student athlete because our athletes do actually take classes, and it's, not the world of NIL college football 2024, 2025. So tell us a little bit about Taiwo's journey and your journey as his mom. Also, with you having the knowledge you have of the military, being a Fulberg Colonel 06, I'm sure you work with a lot of folks who are West Point grads. You may even know a couple former Army football players out there. So just tell us a little bit about what it was like for you and Taiwo, and how the journey's gone up to this point, kind of.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So Taiwo, his journey began in, I would say, seventh grade when he started playing football. He's kind of new to it, but we don't live on a military base, but he's been going to a military school since elementary. So the school he's at now is a small 3A school. It's a middle school and a high school combined here on Fort Sam Houston. So he just really took a great interest in football in the seventh grade, and he's just been flourishing ever since. He's very dynamic. In the small school, they have to play both sides of the ball. So he's played several positions. He's played quarterback, he's played safety, he's played so I'm not really good at football positions, but he's played several.
You're doing pretty good.
Several different positions. I should know this. But the one thing I can say about my son is that he never gives up, and he is a very, how can I say it, spiritual person. Like, football is great, but I think he's more of a leader than anything, and he's very, very conscious about his teammates and the whole team concept. And so I love that about him. I know that he initially committed to the Air Force Academy, but when we visited West Point, there was like a feeling that we both had when we were sitting in the stadium and just watching the video. And this was before he committed. He committed like very soon in the process of his senior year. But he had always had that nagging, like, maybe I should consider the Army. I mean, you're in the Army. And I was thinking, well, I don't know if you're tough like your mom, so maybe you do need to go to the Air Force. So, digging foxholes and doing the hard labor, I don't know about that. But Taiwo is such a hard worker and so dedicated. So I think that once he finally made the decision, he just kind of like whole load kind of just lifted off of his shoulders. He was very, very happy. He called the recruiter, Coach Beatty, and he was like, "Hey, is my spot still available?" And this was like towards the end of December. So I'm really glad that he came to his senses. I mean, we had to get rid of all the Air Force gear we got, but I think he made the best decision for him. He's grown up as an Army brat, so Army is what he knows, and he's going to be a great asset to Army football, and we can't wait.
That is awesome. That is a really cool story, and we are always happy to get a flip from one of the other academies. Especially the folks out in Colorado who we love so much. So Princess, I know you said he played a variety of positions. Did Coach Viti or anybody let you know primarily what position they're recruiting him at?
They're recruiting him for safety, but he's only played quarterback for one season of his high school football career. That was his junior year. He's more of a runner when it comes to quarterback, but he could throw the ball too. So safety is what he's being recruited for. But you tell him what to play, he can play it. He's very versatile because he's had
He's
to
ready to
be that way
go.
with the
That's
small.
good. What up? Will he be coming in direct to the academy, or will he be going to the prep school first, or have they told
He'll
you
be
yet?
going to the prep school first, so it'll be a little bit.
Good. Get a chance to put some. They got a great strength and conditioning program, and I know a lot of the young men down there get a great opportunity to put some bulk on before they head down the hill to Mikey Stadium there. Terry, let's talk about you, class of '95. Former Army football player. Your Army football career, from what I understand, lasted about as long as my Army wrestling career. So we can talk about that a little bit. But your son Connell, aka Tex, tight end, highly recruited. We've heard a lot about him coming into the class. Army has gone hot and heavy on the tight ends this year. So for sure, they'll probably be moving some of those young men to other positions, most likely. But talk a little bit about Texas' journey and what it was like for him going through this whole recruiting process, as well as for you as his dad.
So Connell Tex has been raised watching Army football, of course, and been to many Army football games, bowl games at Mikey, and then away games. So really being a grad, and you went there, I wanted him to make the choice for himself, because if you choose one of the academies, you're really choosing more than just to play a sport. So going through the whole recruiting process with him, we did lots of visits. Lots of other big time schools were recruiting him, and really, he did go visit Navy. I let Mom take him on that one. I didn't want to step foot on the Naval Academy grounds. I waited outside the gates, but yeah, ultimately, yeah, I really did wanted it to be his decision, because he had been raised in Army football, and he had a lot of Ivy offers, a lot of other big football schools, and so we really spent spring breaks and summer times taking our time to visit, and then we helped him narrow down, what are your top 5, and let's go see those as well. And this was in the summertime, June and July, around the 7-on-7s that Gonzaga plays in the summertime. So once that was done and getting towards in July, he talked to his coach Trivers, talked to Coach Smith, the wide receiver coach that recruits the DC area, and Coach Trivers, the head coach at Gonzaga, does a good job with the boys on saying, hey, if Virginia Tech came calling, does that beat Army? And he's like, nope, that doesn't beat Army. Syracuse, nope, that doesn't beat Army. Just running down that list. And then he finally said, you know what? I want to play big time football, and I know the academics are awesome, and I love Army football. That's what I wanted to do since I was little, is that I wanted to be an Army football player. And Coach Driver said, what are you waiting for? That girl that's on your arm right now is pretty good looking. Is anything else going to beat it? And, Tech said, you know what? There's not. And so Coach Smith called him out of the blue that day, and he was already going to call him the same day and commit. This was in July. And being a typical teenager, he hung up without telling Coach Smith, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to Army." Because Coach Smith called him first. I'm like, dude, call him back, and he did, and he committed.
He forgot to commit, and he had to
forgot
call him back. That's great.
because Coach Smith called him first. So after all those visits, he decided on his own, and we went from there. And of course, I was very excited.
Good stuff. You talked about the fact that he played at Gonzaga, which is a high school football powerhouse, as we know. Talk a little bit about how you think playing at Gonzaga for Coach Travers will prepare him to play at the D1 level, as well as handle the challenges of the academic load at West Point and all the other additional requirements. Because I also know, academically, Gonzaga is not cakewalk either.
So what we hear from the families that go across the board sports to wherever they go to college, and on the recent signing day of a senior class of 250, Gonzaga had 43 boys signing college letters of intent. So 43 out of 250.
Wow.
What we heard and down in Texas. I'm from Texas, kind of lettered freshman year there. I know public schools are held to a lot of rules on how many hours they can practice. And the Gonzaga and the other schools up here, they don't have that. They'll go 8 hours in the summertime, 12 to 8. So we've heard from the boys playing at D1 schools that when they roll there doing football and academics, it's not a new stretch or a new thing for the Gonzaga boys. They've been playing against D1 athletes already and going 8 hours of football and then having a full academic load. So we've heard they really transition very easily from Gonzaga.
Cool. And Princess, when it comes to Taiwo, growing up in a military family, having a mom who's been career military, growing up, obviously, maybe not on the base at Sam Houston, but playing at that high school with a lot of military folks. And I saw some of the pictures you sent over before the podcast as well. He's JROTC. How do you think that will prepare him for some of the military rigors at the prep school and at West Point?
I think that he's ready. He's been doing JROTC even in middle school. He did LCDC, so he's very familiar with the process and the military, getting up early, doing all the field types of stuff, and he's ready.
That's really cool. Now, you mentioned that, of course, Coach Vitti, who recruits a lot of Texas, was one of Taiwo's primary recruiters. I've heard from a lot of high school coaches, as well as, I've gotten to know Coach Vitti a little bit through GoBlackKnights.com, through the other coaches, that he's just a phenomenal recruiter. The fact that he's a grad, that he's former Army, Special Forces, just an absolute superstar of a human being, great American. Talk a little bit. I'm sure you got to know Mike a little bit through the process. Talk to me a little bit about, his relationship that he built with Taiwo, as well as the rest of your family.
Coach Vitti is no nonsense. Air Force was showing Ty a lot of love, lots of cards, lots of postcards every day. He had 2 or 3 postcards in the mail. But Coach Vitti was like, you want to choose the easy way or you want to choose the hard way? And so now that you're explaining his background, that kind of makes sense why he was just like, hey, you can go Army or you can go do something else. But I love his tough love approach. I love that he's no nonsense. And I think that was had a lot to do with why Ty wanted to be playing Army football. So Coach Vitti was amazing.
Yeah, he is an incredible human being, former Army fullback himself. And, probably one day in the distant future after Coach Monken retires, which hopefully is a really long time from now, Coach Vitti may take over the program. So,
and he's very
that's really
humble
cool.
because I didn't know that. He's very humble. Yeah, I love that about him.
Yeah, he is the epitome of an Army football player.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I was talking with one of the high school coaches. I forget where he's from. Oh, he was the high school coach down at Catholic High in Louisiana, So he coached Connor Finucane and a number of other guys who've come through that program. The Chernauskas brothers, I was telling you, Terry, about their dad, Chris, who's my classmate. Michael has played on the team, and his younger brother is a CrossFit guy up at Army. And this coach, who's now at Louisville, I believe, or he was at Louisville, he's somewhere else in D1 now, I think. He was mentioning to me that it wouldn't surprise him at all if Coach VD ended up as president of the United States one day, because he's just that kind of guy, just Mr. All-American, just an absolute superstar. So really cool that he got to recruit Taiwo, and that Taiwo clearly made the right choice to come to West Point. Terry, when it comes to Tex, what do you think are his greatest strengths as a football player? Pure football now.
So pure football. He has played some D end as well and linebacker. He just has an engine that does not quit. I mean, if you watch his film, he'll drive guys completely out of the picture into the sidelines. He'll put them in the dirt and jump up and run down the field looking for the next guy to block, like most tight ends and linemen. Very happy when he gets a pass his way, because he'll catch it and run for a lot of yards, but completely happy just putting dudes in the dirt and then leading the way for a running back or a wide receiver or a quarterback, taking the ball all the way. And that's why I said he did really well on when he'd play D end and linebacker, like Taiwo down in Texas at Killeen High School. He did some both ways there, but Gonzaga, schools like that, they don't get to go both ways much. Although he has played some. That's his key thing, just his drive and his physical toughness.
Good stuff. That will certainly bode well for him. As you mentioned, getting to play in the Army offense, tight ends and receivers have to be blockers first, and then they can worry about getting the ball later. And that mentality will certainly pay big dividends for him. Princess, now, Taiwo has a brother, right, who is also heavily recruited out of high school.
Yes.
Has he committed yet, and where is he off to, if so?
His brother committed to Texas A&M Kingsville. It's a smaller school, which I think is a perfect fit for him because he's used to being a superstar. So I think going to a big school would have just been a little much for him. But he did have an opportunity to go to a service academy, but it's just wasn't for him. So Texas A&M Kingsville, I think, is a perfect fit for Kenny, his brother.
Very cool. Good stuff. So, Princess, as Taiwo wraps up his senior year here of high school down at Fort Sam, Houston, just tell me a little bit about what he has going on. We've got, probably a couple months till graduation. Is he playing any spring sports? Is he preparing kind of from a strength and conditioning standpoint for the prep school? What is he looking forward to here as he wraps up his last 3 months of high school?
Right now, he is the XO for the LCDC, the middle school JRTC folks. So he's really involved with that. He does work out a lot. Every time I open his door, he's doing like 100 push-ups a night, really trying to bulk up on his own and stay fit. He gets off a little early from school because he's a senior, and so he goes to the gym every day. He doesn't play any spring sports. He has played basketball from middle school until his junior year. But this year he was really focused on just strength and conditioning, and he knows he's not going to play basketball in college. So he wanted to really focus on strengthening and conditioning his body and not necessarily playing a sport that he wasn't going to play at the college level.
Good stuff. And Terry, what's Tex focused on here as he wraps up his high school career at Gonzaga?
So he's actually playing spring rugby. Gonzaga won the rugby national championship last year. So he started with managing that team. And then the coach there said, you know what, I won't get you hurt. I'll use you sparingly. I agreed with even the practice. I think
that was going to be my question.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, that lots of the football players roll over to the rugby and they know how to manage them well. And I agree with him that playing rugby, just the practice alone would keep his speed up better than him just working out on his own. And then besides the workout too, that's what he's doing. And he's already there. And so he's lifting with the rugby team and just like many tight ends and linemen, he could easily probably get to 250 before summer, but that's not the best plan for our day. So
right. So there's always that challenge, right? You got to bulk up, but then our day and beast roll around and everybody loses weight. Even to this day, even though it was a little different back when you and I went through when dinosaurs roamed the plane. But there's that weight loss challenge. So has he had an opportunity to kind of talk with the strength and conditioning staff or any of the coaches about kind of how to try and best keep the bulk as much as possible throughout Beast?
Yeah, so being already at 240 and 6'5" as an 18-year-old, he's already at D1 tight end size. So, I mean, they even said they're not concerned with the size he's arriving at. And so he just wants to keep it right around that 240 when he shows up because he already moves pretty well. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And Princess, has Taiwo mentioned to you what he's most excited about really the next phase of his journey, going to the prep school and then hopefully on to West Point and becoming an Army football player? Out of everything he's heard, obviously he's done his due diligence with being shown so much love from the other academy, as you mentioned, and really going through the whole process and then flipping to West Point. What excites him? If there were one thing, what's he most excited about going to Army?
I think he's excited about the rich history that West Point has. He's amazed at the camaraderie of all of the football players and the love that he's received. I think they have their own little football chat going on. So they have a lot of communication going on already. And he's just excited to get into that brotherhood and just do well.
Fantastic. And Terry, being that you're in the DC area, of course, Army Navy comes to FedEx Field next year, as well as, you're not too far from Mikey Stadium, a couple hours. Have you made plans to get your season tickets for next year, or to get up to Army Navy, at least worst case, to see Tex and the team take on the Squids there?
Yeah, so we definitely have talked about it's time to get our A club level up and look at. We know Army Navy comes to the Commander Stadium this year, and then we got some others here coming up close. We already our year in Rhode Island Naval War College, and we're on our third year here. We already do 2 or 3 home games a year.
Okay.
Our family's down in Texas, so they're going on the road to North Texas this year. So I'm sure we'll be at that. So we'll see how it goes, plebe year. It's hard for plebes to get playing time. Texas just accepted to contribute to the team. So we haven't completely decided how much this year we'll amp up. But I know, like you said, we already go to a couple home games a year. And, they have some great road games this year in the AAC.
Yeah, I'm anxious for that AAC schedule to come out to see when some of the dates are. We already know who they're playing and where. Of course, they have UTSA at home this year, which is, down in San Antonio might be more convenient for you guys. But they have UTSA at Mikey this year. And like you said, they have North Texas on the road. Do they play Rice this year? Are they at Rice?
Yes.
Okay.
Rice is at home one this year. So I already looked. I have classmates.
Okay.
Their sophomore and junior. No, wait, I need to look again. I know they're 2 times at Rice.
Yeah,
while
it's funny. So I'm in the southeast. I'm down in Atlanta. So I saw UAB and East Carolina on the schedule, but they're both up at Mikey, so that doesn't really help me. And then of course my wife's all over me to go to the Florida Atlanta game just because I think she wants to go to Boca Town Center Mall. But that's beside the game's like a bonus for her. So so Princess, what are your plans potentially to get up to the prep school maybe and get the opportunity to see Taiwo play next year?
I'm trying to put myself on assignment to West Point. So
it's a great assignment if you haven't worked there before. That's
yes.
Terry, have you taught at West Point or
I've
done
been
TAC officer time there or
I
anything?
I made brigade command in the Army, and I've been told no 4 times about going to be assigned there. So go figure. I've tried.
No permanent professorship for you,
No,
huh?
no.
That's good. Well, that's pretty cool. Well, hey, we've just got a couple minutes left. You've both been great guests. Kind of parting shots, Princess, just kind of last question for you, last thing, and Terry, you get the cheat because I'm going to ask you the same question, but I'm going to make Princess go first. Obviously, I know you're extremely proud of your son for what he's accomplished up to this point. In 1 minute, if you could tell him anything right now, what would you tell him?
I would say that I am so happy that you decided to commit to the best university in the universe. I know you are a strong leader and that you will accomplish every goal that you have set, and that this platform that has been provided for you will be a place where you can grow and excel and do well and play the sport that you love to play on a huge platform. So I'm so proud of you, and I look forward to saluting you one day as an Army officer because you are truly deserving of this. And I'm looking forward to watching you play Army football.
Outstanding. Terry, same question. If you had 1 minute to talk to Connell, what would you tell him?
Yeah, so just very proud of his choice to serve in the Army and desire to continue to want to be an Army officer first. He's just like Taiwo, Princess. He's Brett. He knows. He's moved a lot. He dealt with deployment, and he still chose to want to serve, even after all the opportunities he had to play football elsewhere. He stuck to his goals and dreams of wanting to do that at Army West Point and service first, and then he had ultimately made the best choice in my opinion, but validated that for himself on Army West Point's the #1 leadership school in the world, and they play amazing football. And I'm so proud to have him join us all in service in the Army in the Long Gray Line and be an Army football player.
Well, that is good stuff. Well, hey, thank you both very much for your time tonight. We are really excited, the GoBlackKnights.com family, to welcome Taiwo and Connell to the Army football family in the future. We hope they have a very good career, both as football players and as cadets and future officers. Really excited for this. Army fans, this has been an absolute privilege for me to be able to cover this podcast with not only two parents, but two colonels who are career military, which is really, really cool. I thought, Tina Servasio from CBS was pretty intimidating, as well as Jeff Munkin when I get the opportunities to talk to him. But two colonels may be a new record for me, so I'm pretty intimidated by this. But it's been awesome as usual. So Army fans, go ahead and subscribe to GoBlackKnights.com. We are running specials all the time right now. If you contact us, we can talk about how you can potentially get a discount on your annual subscription. Subscribe to our YouTube page, which of course is free. You get all the premium and non-premium content. And so once again, this has been Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com, along with Colonel Princess Aturase and Colonel Terry Brannon, saying, "Go Army, beat Navy."